Kutoka vijijini, mijini hadi jijini. Hii ni Sound Country Talk Live.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for making time to join us. This is Sound Country Talk, open forum political discussion show, the show that gives you an opportunity to air what you feel and think about the latest development on our political front. Well, the civil society is up in arms against both the Kenyan government and the Tanzanian government over their reaction on the claims of torture to the Kenyan and Ugandan citizen while in Tanzania. Now, as this comes into play, the deafening silence of both administration after this came in the open is something that is disturbing every right-thinking human being when he looks into this entire saga with the eye of justice. How in the world can any country fold their hands when their citizens are tortured in the neighboring country? And it appears it's like a coordinated kind of torture arrangement whereby no country wants to own up on this matter. I believe by now there should be some protest later that would have already crossed the border, headed to Dodoma or Dar es Salaam or whichever place where Samia can be located. But as this plays out, it appears somebody wants to cover another person for whatever crime that may come into play. This is not acceptable. At this point in time, not at this time and age. I call on everyone to be on the alert, even as we get down into this particular discussion. I am not a happy man when this is happening to a person who just went to witness a hearing of a court case. Whatever Tanzania administrations were responding to, they need to come out clean and tell us the crimes committed by these citizens who are activists that were in their borders legally. Well, as that comes into play, one of the critics of Samia, who is a bishop as well as a member of parliament, has suffered a setback by reason of the government deregistering his denomination that has over 2,000 churches simply because he's raising questions on the abductions and disappearance of people in Tanzania. So as this comes into play, it appears there is more than meets the eye when it comes to the administration of Mama Samia Suluhu. Alisema hao ni watu wa amani, hawapendi fujo, hawapendi vurugu. Haya, askofu huyo, kanisa kafungwa, ikatolewa katika hesabu ya makanisa Tanzania, washirika wanateta, askofu ametangaza siku 7 za kufunga na kuomba. Sa, ni kipi hiki kinachoendelea Tanzania ambacho tunapaswa kujifunza kutoka nacho. Anakushukuru unapojiunga nasi. Tafadhali shika doria, karibisha mtu, tumakinike pamoja. Samahani kuanza kuchelewa, lakini naamini unatupata kwa njia iliyo safi. Tuambie unatupata ukiwa wapi. Watu wa TikTok, tuone nguvu zenu hapo, mshike doria. Nataka kuona likes ikipanda, kukaribisha mtu na kumakinika. Toa maoni yako mahala pote ulipo, utasikika ama utasomwa wakati umeandika hoja yako ambayo ni muhimu. But it is sad that the more things change, the more they remain the same. Now, I'm not saying this because I'm exonerating the Kenya government. We have had abductions and disappearance of persons in this country. Yes. But the torturing of foreigners, despite the fact that Besigye was abducted from this country and then, of course, carried back to his own country, and then, of course, the court proceedings started. But what I want us to look at clearly here is there is more than meets the eye on the issues with this Boniface and Agatha's torture treatment in Tanzania that we can't be silent over. And so the civil society and, of course, other bodies are raising red flags on all this, and they are seeking redress. And it appears somebody is going to end up either at the ICC or anywhere, but there will be court proceedings on the same. And if the three governments, that is Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania, are covering up this evil, then it appears that the international community will need to come in, or the civil society will have to take this matter to the Hague. And that is what we are, looking at. And then, of course, Rose Njeri was freed today. The lady was arrested for opening a website that is enlightening Kenyans about the Finance Bill 2025. She's out on bail of 100,000 Kenya shillings. And that's also a story that we need to look at keenly, because it appears that we want change, yet we don't want change. We're making one step forward, 3 steps backward, and that to me it's very disturbing. As a government, we have to come out and be forthright. We're either wanting to deceive Kenyans or tell them the truth. Why should you hide things in the finance bill and you want us to claim that you have done public participation? Which other way can people express themselves about the finance bill except them being able to interact and then, of course, look at this and then guided by the experts or people who are, gifted in that particular area? So why arrest somebody for the same? That's a matter we have discussed and will continue to question until we get a lasting solution. Then the bombshell, the Auditor General comes up with revelations again. The NSSF, pesa ya wazee, wale watu wamestaafu, 16 billion missing. Are you getting that? God have mercy on our country. Hata wale wanaenda retire tunawaibia. Haya, naomba tumakinike. Karibisha mtu, link ya kutumia kuingia studio nishaweka kwa comment section, na kusubiri wewe uje studio tukajadili masuala haya. Naomba tuanze na hiyo story ya nani hiyo. Tuanze na civil society wakishtumu masuala haya yaliyotokea katika yale mateso ya wakereketwa wa kutetea haki za kibinadamu wakiwa Tanzania. Tutaanza na hiyo kisha tuingilie swala la makanisa kufungwa. Tumefikia hapo. Eti mtu akisema kwamba una abduct watu unafungiwa kanisa. Tanzania huru kweli. Haya, naomba tuangalie hiyo tunapoanza. Karibisha mtu moja kwa moja. 9 people. Can we get more people to join, please? The sharing of the link is very low. Facebook naona watu 3. Sound Candy Talk Live 5. Sound Candy Talk 2. Naomba tafadhali tukaribishane. Makinika katika kuhakikisha kwamba hakuna anayesalia nyuma katika kuelewa hiki kinachoendelea na vipi tutakavyookoka kutokana na haya maangamizi ambayo kama yamekusudiwa kinyume na sisi.
For KTN from Milimani Law Courts, Nairobi.
A wave of anguish and defiance ripples across the East African region as voices from civil society and human rights groups mount pressure on the Tanzanian government, calling for accountability for brutality and torture allegedly inflicted on activists Boniface Mwangi and Agatha Atuhaire. Their heart-wrenching stories of pain, fear and resilience shared just a day ago have stirred a global conscience. Now legal networks are urging international bodies to intervene, demanding justice, reparations, and a promise that such darkness will not return. Our reporter Wanjiku Wanjiru with the story.
Addressing the press in Nairobi, the Law Society of Kenya and the Police Reforms Working Group called on the East African community and global actors to hold the Tanzanian government accountable for alleged human rights violations. They are demanding the immediate arrest and prosecution of all officers implicated in the abuse of Kenyan activist Boniface Mwangi and Ugandan activist Agatha Atuhaire.
Violation of human rights only agitates members of the public, because whenever you show might is right, the citizens will retaliate when they feel that they have been pushed to absolutely too much.
We petition both Kenya and Ugandan parliamentarians summon their respective foreign affairs ministers to account for the actions taken to protect their nationals and spell out the steps being taken to secure justice and compensation for the suffering and trauma experienced.
The groups have described the incident as part of a disturbing trend of state-sponsored repression across Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. They are accusing regional governments of systematically silencing dissent through violence, intimidation, and unlawful arrests.
Unless urgently addressed, this and the brutal treatment of Boniface Mwangi and Agatha Atuhaire shall remain a stark indictment of violent repression and impunity under President Samia Suluhu Hassan's government, and the East African community's silence shall render it complicit.
Government of Tanzania must arrest and prosecute all officers suspected of responsibility for the human rights violations against Boniface Mwangi and Agatha Atuhaire and bring them to justice in a fair trial.
Sentiments echoed by PLP Martha Karua, who decried what she termed a wave of repression targeting opposition leaders and civil society actors.
These events are not isolated. They mark a dangerous, coordinated assault on democracy by our leaders across East Africa.
The appeal follows harrowing testimonies by Mwangi and Atuhaire, who recounted being tortured, sexually assaulted, and forcibly deported by Tanzanian police officers. Human rights groups are now demanding justice and compensation for the victims. Wanjiku Wanjiru, KTN.
The country.
Okay, there you have it. Civil society and all over the East African community raising red flags on the silence of the three governments when their citizens are involved. Is this a coordinated, well-calculated push to suppress dissenting voices, intimidate, and cause them not to question government anymore? What's going on? I need to hear what you think about the whole thing. But in my opinion, this is outright impunity to start with, in the sense that the people doing this is not that they're ignorant. And if this is the means by which they want to retain power, then we are doing so poorly. Something needs to happen. And that is the imminent change in East Africa has to be realized, especially by the citizen. We cannot have governments, instead of them acting in the interest of the masses, they are suppressing the masses, violating their rights, and want to be respected and honored by the same, this ought not to happen. And so not only for Tanzania, but Uganda and Kenya must come out clean. We need to know who is supporting evil and who is fighting against evil. There is no any reasonable explanation on why anybody should be tortured at this point in time. It is too late in the day for anybody to be using the barbaric, primitive means of obtaining information from anyone, especially via inflicting pain, intimidation, and all manner of, weapons that are deployed, including sexual assault. This is not it. So as we look into this, I really would love to hear what you think about the situation. But to me, nothing impressive, nothing at all. And I thought if we have a woman as a president or as a leader, she will be motherly, she will be homely, and therefore things will not be as harsh and as uncaring as they are happening. How come under Samia we're having this happening under her watch? What's happening with mothers? I mean, motherhood is supposed to be all caring and all considerate. Kama kuna watu ambao kuelewa, wanapaswa kuelewa masuala ya maisha na masuala ya kuhakikisha kwamba kila mtu anapata haki, si ni uongozi wa kina mama? Haya, nataka unaambie Suluhu anafanya vipi? Yeye ndio taswira kamili ya kina mama ama kina mama watamkana? Naomba maoni yako. Karibu kila mmoja, asante sana. Hapa namuona Simba Omar Said anasema Watanzania wamekaliwa chapati na serikali yao, wengi wamebakwa, hawawezi kuongea. Haya, inaonekana hii ndio taswira ambayo tunaipata kutokana na haya ambayo yanatendeka. Wanasema akumulikaye mchana usiku atakuchoma. Kama au ni askari alafu wanaweza kufanya hayo kwa mgeni, mwenyeji naye atafanywaje? Mnaambie nyi? Hawa ni wakereketwa ambao wanasimamia haki ya binadamu, lakini ya kibinadamu, lakini ni wageni. Wanatolewa nguo, wanaamrishwa watoe nguo zote, alafu wafanyiwe hayo au shetani, na ni wageni. So kama ili genge ama ili kikosi, wacha tuwapatie jina la iki kikosi ambacho kinafanya haya maovu, kinafanya hivi wageni, je, akipatikana Mtanzania ambaye anasimamia haki anafanyiwa yepi? So inaonekana kumekuwa na kumekuwa kuficha kwingi kwa maovu Tanzania. Wakati umefika tuyazungumzie wazi wazi. Hakuna vile askari watamchukua mgeni wakamfanye yale ambayo yanasemekana yalifanywa Boniface Mwangi na Agatha wakiwa wageni kwa nchi ya kigeni. Kuna kitu penye moshi kuna moto. Haya, mnaambie. Na ningependa Watanzania nanyi mtapatie hiyo habari. Najua ninyi ni masemegi, so kwa hivyo lakini ikifika swala la Tanzania ujumbe wenu utakuwa ule ule ambao mliambiwa na mwalimu. Okay, nione hapa nani huyu. William Adilo anasema Tanzania President Samia is but her background in Zanzibar, and Zanzibar President is Mwinyi. Zanzibar, so they are dominating Tanganyika. Both of them are Muslims. They must have a problem with church. Haya, huyo ni William Adilo anasema kuna kitu hapa ambacho kinaendelea na labda kinatokana na kwamba Samia ni Mzanzibari ama anatokea Zanzibar. na alitunukiwa kuwa rais kwa kufika mbele ya haki kwa Magufuli, na inaonekana ajenda inaweza kuwa kinyume na makanisa kwa sababu Zanzibari uongozi ni wa Kiislamu na huyu mama Muislamu. So kuna kitu hapa ama vipi? Huyo ni Willy Mwadilo. Wewe mtanaambia nyinyi, lakini mnajua hapa mimi nasimamia haki, na kama kuna kitu ambacho sipendi kabisa kuingilia ni masuala ya vita vya dini. Kama kuna vita ambavyo ni vigumu sana kuingilia ndani, ni vita vya dini. So ili ambalo Mama Suluhu ameamua kufunga makanisa itakuwa kwaje? Hiyo ndio swali tunauliza. Na ningependa mtu anipatie takwimu kamili. Kuna Waislamu wangapi Tanzania, Wakristo wangapi? Kura za Kiislamu zinatosha kumfanya Suluhu apate second term? Kwa sababu kama ameguza kanisa na kanisa kubwa kama hili ambalo liko na matawi 2,000, hiyo ni population kubwa sana. So itakuwa kuaje? Ama kutakuwa na ile niongezee nitosheke ili nifike. Haya, karibu kila mmoja, asante sana. Okay, sawa hapa. Omar Said anasema watizedi wengi hayo mambo yamewakasirisha, lakini hawaongei, wanaongea chini ya maji, wanaogopa kupotezwa. Na hilo ndio swala tunazungumzia hapa. Mbona serikali iwe madarakani kupoteza watu, kuangamiza watu, kuabduct watu? Kwani ni serikali gani hii? I mean, serikali za Afrika zinaudhi. Okay? Zinaudhi. Wewe umepewa mamlaka ya kuongoza nchi. Badala uongoze nchi, wewe umeamua sasa uanze kuangamiza watu, kunasa watu na kuwapoteza. What is that? What is the whole purpose of you being a leader? I mean, did you get into leadership so that you can mess up the country and mess up the livelihood of people? Snatch their voices? Make sure they can't say nothing? Please, lisemalo lipo, kama lipo linjiani laja. Kama wewe utosheki ama utoshelezi, aufikii kile kiwango ambacho nchi inahitajika, unang'atuka kutoka kwa kiti, upeane kwa wale ambao wanaweza kuongoza nchi ambayo iko huru, nchi ambayo inaweza kosolewa. Hatuwezi kuwa tunachukua hatua moja mbele alafu hatua tatu nyuma. Tutafikia kule tunakwenda lini? Naomba umakinike kutoa maoni yako. TikTok sijaona maoni yenu, sijui kuna nini. Naomba tafadhali tumakinike kukaribishana. Nakumbuka kwa YouTube kuna ile poll question, kama Kenya ikate uhusiano wa kidiplomasia na nchi zote ambazo zinatishia haki za Wakenya wakiwa katika hizo nchi za kigeni. Wewe unaonaje? Wakate ama waendelee kuzungumza ama watafute namna nyingine? Maoni yako hayo na yakaribisha. So on that note, I want us to look into that story of churches and Madam Suluhu and how she's going about dissenting voices. But what is going on in Tanzania is something interesting that we all need to look at. We have viewed and we have been taken to believe that Tanzania ni mahali pa amani, watu wa upendo, watu wa ujamaa, watu ambao hawezi kukosea mtu mwingine. Hasi tunapenda amani, tunapendana, tuna umoja, hakuna anayesimama kinyume na mwingine. Kumbe hapo chini kwa huo uondo wote ambao tunapewa, kuna maovu ambayo yanafunikwa. Mungu saidia. Haya, asante, tusonge mbele. Asante sana, nilete hiyo video ya huyo askofu kafungiwa makanisa kwa kuzungumza na kuuliza watu wanapotea kwa nini. Let's listen to this.
Tanzania's President Samia Suluhu Hassan is under fire after her government deregistered one of the country's biggest Pentecostal churches. Glory of Christ Church, or Ufufuo na Uzima, and its over 2,000 branches have been shut down. Its founder, Kawe MP and Bishop Josephat Gwajima, has been openly condemning enforced disappearances. The government says his sermons are inciting the public against the state and threatening national stability. As Willie Lusige reports, Gwajima remains defiant and pressure is mounting on Mama Suluhu.
Watu wanapotea sana. Na hatujui sasa nani anayefuata kwenye kupotea. Hatujui nani atakayeuawa baadaye.
A strong warning from the pulpit and one of many fiery sermons by outspoken Kawe Member of Parliament and founder of Glory of Christ Church, Josephat Gwajima, in the heart of Dar es Salaam.
Mimi nitalisimamia mpaka mwisho.
For months, Gwajima has used his altar as a political platform, decrying abductions and disappearances of government critics. He claims more than 80 people have either gone missing or been found dead, a dark record that Tanzania hasn't seen in decades.
Chama cha Mapinduzi, ambacho wahasisi wake ni Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere, akiwemo John Pombe Magufuli na viongozi wengine wote, hawa wote hawajaasisi chama cha kuteka watu, na CCM sisi si watekaji, na anayeteka watu anateka kwa nia yake yeye mwenyewe.
It is a message that clearly rattled Mama Suluhu's government. On Sunday, in a swift move, the Ministry of Home Affairs revoked the church's registration, accusing Gwajima of using politically charged sermons to incite citizens against the state. By Sunday evening, the church was shut down, forcing thousands of faithful to pray on the streets. Tension flared overnight as armed police sealed off the premises, fired tear gas and arrested defiant worshippers. Stones flew and tear gas filled the air. But the embattled bishop and member of parliament won't back down. He declared 7 days of prayers in more than 2,000 church branches while hurling fresh jabs at President Suluhu.
Mkuu wa jeshi la polisi na wasaidizi wake wote walio chini yake, hawa kimsingi wao wanateuliwa na Mheshimiwa Rais. Nini kimetokea? Hawa watekaji wanateka watu, hawapatikani.
Udugu kuponya ulimwengu, ninyi nyote ni.
The Secretary General of Tanzania Catholic Church Episcopal Conference, Father Dr. Charles Kitima, led a Thanksgiving Mass after surviving a brutal attack by unknown assailants left for the dead at his parish in Dar es Salaam last month.
People are abducted and everybody is silenced. Silence means granting access to evil. Silence means comfortable. Silence means go ahead. I refuse to be silenced.
The opposition is now demanding President Suluhu to carry the weight of these unanswered questions. Willie Lusige, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Sitayumba, sitabadilika, sitapunguza msimamo, tasimama nalo.
Haya, msimamo wake askofu hapo akisema yeye hakuna kurudi nyuma. Watu waseme wamepeleka wapi wale watu ambao wamepoteza. Serikali ambayo haiwezi kulinda wananchi haifai kuitwa serikali. Na haya mambo yote yanatokana na nini? Mtu kutafuta second term. Masuala ya one term imeleta kizaazaa mpaka Tanzania. Yaani mimi ndio nashindwa na uongozi wa Afrika. Mtu huenda kwa ofisi kutafuta tamu nyingine, ama huenda kwa ofisi kuhakikisha kwamba anatekeleza wajibu wake kama kwa mujibu wa sheria na katiba. Wewe performance huja perform vizuri. Kushikilia nchi hujashikilia vizuri. Uchumi umekataa. Matibabu ndio hayo. Masomo ndio hayo. So mambo kama hayaendi ipasavyo. Mbona tena usisitize kwamba unataka kuendelea kuwa kiongozi? Ikikushinda kung'atuka inakuumiza vipi? Wewe umewekwa kwa ofisi ili utekeleze wajibu. Huo wajibu umekushinda. So itakuwa kupiga watu na kuwateka nyara na kuwaua. Hiyo sasa ndio itakuhifadhi. Kwa hiyo kitu itakupatia uwezo wa sasa kufanya yale ambayo unapaswa kufanya. As the African continent, we must think again. Leadership is responsibility, and responsibility calls on every one of us to see to it that we do the right thing, and the right thing is to safeguard each and every individual. So the disappearance of people in Kenya is wrong. The disappearance of people in Tanzania is wrong. The disappearance of people in Uganda is wrong. Every leadership is supposed to safeguard the welfare of everybody. And if somebody does not agree with you, find a way of getting them on board. Stop torturing people. And we read for you the law of torture here yesterday. That law was enacted in 1984. As you know, 84, that's a long time ago. Okay? It was enacted, then it came into force in 1987. And so nobody should be violating that in the name that he doesn't know. If the law has been around that long, everybody needs to be aware of the same. So why are we still retaining torture as a means of correcting or, demonstrating our power when it is outrightly against the international law that is clearly stipulated? And so as a people, something must happen to us. And East Africa seem to be playing in the hands of those that want to destroy it by reason of them ignoring the law and choosing to do what they shouldn't do in the name that that's the way they need to preserve themselves in power. And like I said, nobody should preserve themselves in power, especially when they are not delivering what they need to deliver. Your number one responsibility as a president and as a leader of the country is to better the country, to improve the country. And improving the country means improving the livelihood of the people, improving the life of the people, making sure that life becomes easier, profitable, and progressive for each and every citizen. Not for the ruling class, not for the elites, not for the chosen few. It has to be everybody. So if you cannot manage that, then you disqualify yourself. And there's nothing wrong with disqualifying yourself. And African leaders need to embrace this. When the office is too much for you, leave. We have witnessed in Britain how many prime ministers, 4 prime ministers stepped down because the work they were given is too much. So what do? They resign and another person takes over. So this issue of somebody sticking in office, want to fight, to kill, to abduct people because he has to remain in office, is uncalled for. It's uncalled for. It's backward, it's primitive, it's barbaric. It should not be happening. Not at this time. And so let's all sober up and do the right thing. Let's do the right thing. Najua hapo kwa comment mtaanza kunambia siasa sio kanisa. Nakubaliana na wewe, siasa sio kanisa. Lakini maisha ya mtu yeyote, maisha ya mwananchi ni muhimu kwa kila mtu. Na inapaswa kuwa muhimu kwa serikali. Na sababu ya kuwa serikali ni kulinda maisha, sio kuangamiza maisha. So tumie mamlaka ambayo umepewa kwa kuhujumu haki za watu na kuharibu maendeleo ya wengi. Na kuomba tu, kumbuka kile ambacho umeitiwa ukakitekeleze ipasavyo. So ili swala la huyu askofu na kufungiwa makanisa kwa sababu ameuliza wale watu wamepotea, that is not it. Hakuna hiyo, hata kama nini siwezi kusupport. Produce wale watu wamepotea. Kama huwezi produce, sema walienda wapi. Na hili swala la serikali kuwa na serikali 3 kwa moja, okay? Ili genge, wacha niseme haya wazi kwa sababu wengi wetu hatuelewi, okay? Katika serikali nyingi haswa za Afrika kunakuwa na ile polisi ya halali, na alafu kuna hii polisi nyingine inaitwanga ya kulinda urais. Okay? Hii ya kulinda urais haifanyi kazi kutokana na ile mtaratara wa command chain ya polisi. Okay? Hawa naambiwa wanafanya kazi kwa ofisi ya rais na command yao inatoka kwa ofisi ya rais, na kazi yao ya kwanza ni kulinda urais. Kulinda urais ni kulinda huyo mtu ambaye ako kwa ofisi, awe mbaya awe nini. Hao kazi yao ni kuhakikisha kwamba wanalinda huyo mtu asifanye nini, asipoteze hiyo ofisi. So kwao ni kwenda kunusanusa hapa, nani amesema nini kinyume na rais akamatwe, nani huyu ambaye anasimama kinyume na rais afinywe, nani huyu ambaye amekwenda kinyume na yale mipango ya rais huyu afanye nini, akamatwe. Now that parallel police arrangement is the unmaking of our society, and of course an indictment to what we are calling democracy. Because if you are indeed democratic, you must let the voices of those that don't find your leadership impressing to say so. Yes. And if you can't, stand that, then the office is too big for you. Leave the office. Let someone else come in and you'll be able to manage the situation. Maybe it's not the best example, but I should give you the example of Uhuru Kenyatta. When Uhuru Kenyatta and social media couldn't cope, he left social media. He deactivated his account because the account was coming on fire by reason of what Kenyans were saying. So it's okay to leave office because the office is too big for you or the heat is too much. So let's not go back to the barbaric, primitive way of doing things simply because we want to preserve somebody in office. No president, no leader should be retained in office except their performance is outstanding and we want to add them a reward of the second term because their first term has been outstanding. They have solved what was hard to be solved and they have been able to improve the lifestyle of the people. If they have not done that, let them be on their next flight out of office as soon as yesterday. If you have not performed well, don't stay. Don't overstay. Don't insist to stay. Wewe tukikutuma jikoni utengeneze chakula unakuja na mashakura. Hili inaitwa mashakura. Alafu tukisema basi hata mpishi mwingine aingie kwa jikoni unasema siwezi ruhusu. Mimi nimepakwa mafuta kukaa. Hapana. Kama umepakwa mafuta kutupatia mashakura, sisi hatutakubali. Tunahitaji chakula ambacho kimetengenezwa sawa sawa. So urais hivyo hivyo, ubunge hivyo hivyo, ugavana hivyo hivyo, useneta hivyo hivyo. Kama hujafanya kazi yako vizuri na wananchi wameridhika na kazi yako, basi hakuna second term. Hivyo tu. Ndio hivyo, si tulienda shule wakati shule ilikuwa shule. Usipofikisha ile max inahitajika, unaandikiwanga repeat. Hawakagui miaka yako ni ngapi. Nilikuwa class moja na watu wako na ndevu. Lakini wamebaki class 1 kwa nini? They have not made the marks that makes them to go to class 2. So kama wewe hujafanya kazi yako vizuri kama mbunge, senator, governor, president, funga virago, nenda nyumbani. Wacha kutusumbua na kutumia nguvu inaitwa nini? Ya dola kuangamiza maisha ya watu ambao wameuliza maswali kuhusu uongozi wako. That's not the essence of leadership. Leadership needs to be fair. Leadership needs to be considerate. Leadership needs to be forthright and of course forecasting. Being able to tell in 10 years time we'll have this and this, therefore we need to have this in place. All this time and age, the age of innovation, we're in the age of information. And then you are still using the barbaric, traditional, primitive way of torturing people that you are teaching them a lesson. What kind of a teacher are you? Well, wacha nisiharibu kila kitu. Naomba tafadhali tumakinike kukaribishana. Hii namba ya watazamaji mbona imekwama hapa? Kila mtu ameenda kulala. Basi tutafungasha. Naomba tafadhali karibisha mtu ili tumakinike kwa pamoja. Tunapochukua break kidogo tu, tukirejea tutakuwa tunaangazia ile suala la hela ya wanaostaafu ambayo haionekani. Kwa mujibu wa Auditor General, hapa Willy Mwadilo anasema Samia has a game plan. Tundu Lissu is in prison. The case will drag on. She can do away with the Christian voters. There is no strong candidate to challenge her. Okay, Willy Mwadilo anasema hivyo. Anaona kwamba Samia ana mpango wa kusidisha ama kufanya kesi ya Tundu Lissu iendelee bila kukoma, na mpaka wakati wa uchaguzi ufike na upite bila hiyo kesi kumalizika, ili Tundu Lissu asiwe kwa ballot, na hata hivyo basi asipopata kura ya Wakristo bado atapata kura za kutosha kumfanya rais kwa muhula wa pili. Hayo mawazo ya Willy Mwadilo, na ningependa tu labda nilete hii katika ile katiba ya kongwe ile ambayo tulikataa kabla 2010, masuala ya urais. Sababu moja ya kwamba watu walikataa kwenda kotini wakati uchaguzi umefanywa kwa njia isiyo ya haki, mojawapo ya sababu ilikuwa kwamba katika hiyo katiba kusikiliza kesi ya kuchallenge elections ilikuwa milele. Okay, so unaweza pereka kuna challenge kwamba huyu rais akupata kura za kutosha, ako kwa ofisi ipasavyo, wakati ako sworn in ndio hivyo. Hiyo kesi itakuwa inaahirishwa mpaka miaka 5 imalizike. Ndiposa katika 2010 constitution wakaweka hizo siku 14. Okay, kesi isikikwe na imalizike within those 14 days. Although the judicial the judiciary has not given us the benefits of those 14 days. They have not given us the reason for those 14 days, and that to me is a very huge letdown, because if we can't get the right president and we allow evil to thrive and take charge of the country, all the participants are guilty, and they are the reason why the country is what it is today. And so if you are given any responsibility, especially as a judge or as Chief Justice, whatever it is that you call yourself, please take that work serious. Remember, it's the country you're protecting. It's not a political party. It's not an individual. The 50+ million of us, we are the ones on that ballot. Yes, how we will go about life for 5 years is that outcome of those ballot. So ukikaa hapo, Mama Selina hapa anasema miungu 7. Mnakaa hapo mmevaa kanzu, mnakaa kana kwamba mnasikiliza, kumbe hamsikii chochote. Nyinyi mnaona tu mfanye vile mmeambiwa. Kama kuna kitu ambacho kimevunja mioyo ya wengi wa Kenya, mimi nikiwemo, ni hao miungu 7. Wanakaa kana kwamba wanasikiliza, wanakaa kana kwamba wanaelewa inchi, kumbe hakuna. Wanafikiria wako hapo kuweka rubber stamp tu ya chief na kupitisha mambo. And so kama sheria ya Tanzania na inayohusu haya maswala itakuwa hivi kwamba hiyo kesi iahirishwe na isongeshwe mbele mpaka uchaguzi ufike ili Tundu Lissu asiwe kwa ballot, it will be very disappointing. To be very, very disappointing. And I think as Africans, we have to improve on this. We have to work on this. We need to allow our election process to give us credible leaders. And the election process should determine the outcome, who becomes a leader and who does not become a leader. Any form of interference, any form of trying to rig yourself into office should not be encouraged by anyone. Now, we know that democracy is not the best system of leadership, but it may not even be tailored on how to solve our home African issues, but with its defects, with its faults, it is said is still the best that there is. And so let's allow it to work, not hamper it, not, throw, stumbling blocks on its way. So naambiwa Tanzania CCM yenyewe nani ndio hii ni kwa mujibu wa anaitwa nani, Munishi. Si mnajua Munishi, mwimbaji wa nyimbo za Injili ambaye ni Mkenya kuliko Mtanzania. Ameishi Kenya siku zote. Alikuwa anasema katika katiba ya CCM hata ukiwa rais hauna pass, inaitwa ni direct pass ya kugombea urais mpaka kusitokee mtu yeyote katika hiyo chama atakayetaka kuwa rais. Na kama watu watajitokeza kwamba wanataka kuwa rais, wote pamoja na yule ambaye ni rais wawekwe kwa mchujo, wafanyiwe nomination. Yule atakayeshinda ndiye anapewa ticket. So inasemekana Mama Suluhu na of course wale ambao wanamsupport wameenda wakafanya nini? Wakabadilisha hiyo sheria tena ili Suluhu asipelekwe kwa mchujo. So Suluhu ni kama anaogopa uchaguzi, hataki kwenda nomination, anatoa wale ambao wanataka kumchallenge. Hivi tena uchaguzi ndio huo lazima uwepo, anataka kutoa wote wa opposition ili awe peke yake, asiwe na mpinzani. Alafu tunaenda kwa election. Tunaenda kwa election gani? Kama ni hivyo basi hakuna haja ya kusumbua watu eti wanaenda kupiga kura. Kama kura haichagui kati ya huyu na yule, hakuna haja ya kwenda kwa hiyo basi. So tukubali, kama masuala CCM imekubali kwamba Mama Suluhu aendelee na nchi nzima imekubali, hakuna uchaguzi, aendelee. Lakini masuala ya watu kupotea, watu kuangamizwa, watu kuhujumiwa kwa sababu tu eti mtu anapaswa kukaa kwa ofisi, no way. We can do better than that, and we deserve better than that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I can see Reverend Lala is here. Reverend Lala, we are taking a short break. When we come back, you weigh on these stories. Thank you so much for coming here. Labda the best break ni hii.
Ile maneno ambayo ilitokea huko bungeni jana wakati MP ambaye amechaguliwa juzi wakiambaa Njuguna Kawanjiko walisimama kuongea na ulimi yake ikakwama, akashindwa kutranslate mawazo kutoka kwa akili ailete kwa mdomo itoke, awekelea agenda za watu wakiambaa on the floor of parliament. It was an embarrassing moment for the community and should serve as a wake-up call kwa Wakikuyu. Wakikuyu lazima wajiulize, huko ukienda huko kwa Luo Nyanza, utapata mbunge kama Kawanjiko ambaye hawezi kuongea? Ukienda Western kwa Luhya, utapata mbunge kama Kawanjiko ambaye hawezi kuongea? Ukienda huko Northeastern kwa Wasomali, utapata kweli mbunge kama Kawanjiko ambaye hawezi kuongea? Hata Turkana mwisho ya Kenya, they do not elect ignoramuses. Lakini hapa kwetu mlimani, hapa ndio Ruto wanataka kuja kuimpose ignorant people kama Kawanjiko as our leaders. Hapa mlimani ndio Sonko alikuja akatuwekea governor Waitito. Wakati Pokoto wanachagua Professor Ronyangapuo, mtu ambaye amesoma, mawazo yake imefunuka, ametembea dunia, ameona modern world. Pokoto wanachagua Ronyangapuo na Pokoti ni huko kichakani. Sisi hapa Kiambu, county ambayo iko na very big economic potential, tunachagua Waitito. Ruto is imposing this kind of leaders on Mount Kenya. Unasikia amesema hapo Kirinyaga weka nani, weka Gireshe ambaye tunajua makaratasi yake hakuna. Unakuja Nyandarua weka Faith Getau, who has no history of stepping inside the tertiary institution. Ruto anataka kuja kutufinyiria hapa, tuweke viongozi ambao they cannot articulate agenda ya community kuendelea mbele, na hivyo ndivyo Wakikuyu watamalizwa. Ruto anataka kumaliza kwanza, amalize uongozi yetu, alafu sasa akuja tutandike kabisa. Vile moja alituwekea kina Dickson Kihika Kimani na Kariuki Chotara ati ndio wa viongozi wa Kikuyu. Na mwishowe akatufinya economically and our community was on the verge of extinction. Lazima tujichunge sana na tukatae hiyo maneno ya Ruto kuja kuimpose viongozi hapa kwetu.
But the unthinkable happened. Police opened fire on unarmed demonstrators, killing over 20, injuring many, and leaving others unaccounted for. Frank was among the victims. Hit by 6 bullets, yet by God's grace, he survived. After a series of life-saving surgeries, Frank can now walk again. But the bullets left a lasting impact. He can no longer perform heavy-duty jobs to support his grandmother. In their iron sheet home, deep in the slum, is inaccessible by vehicles. In case of a medical emergency, help is far out of reach. To make matters worse, the slum is plagued by insecurity, with daily cases of muggings and robberies. Despite all these challenges, Frank dreams of finishing his education, learning a trade, and building a better life for his grandmother, the woman who has stood by him through every storm. This is where we need your help. In the short term, we aim to move Frank and his grandmother to a safer home where they can access medical care and live without constant fear. Long term, we want to support Frank in completing his education, learning a profitable skill, and starting a small business. I've faced so much, but I'm still standing. I want to work hard, take care of my grandmother, and make her proud. I just need a chance. You can be the change in Frank's life. Every contribution, big or small, will go a long way in helping this brave young man and his grandmother rebuild their lives. Let's come together and help Frank fulfill his God-given destiny. God bless you. Send your donations to Sound Candid Talk, support Frank Okoth account. The link is in the description below. Together, we can make a difference. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share this video widely, and stay tuned for more inspiring stories on Sound Candid Talk.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for staying tuned. We appreciate everyone for keeping us company and then, of course, participating into the show. We want to hear what you think and feel about this entire scenario, even as we remind you to ensure that you are a fully participant. Respond to our poll question, respond to liking, giving the video a thumbs up is important. And then, of course, subscribe if you have not subscribed. Share widely the video, and then of course follow us, those of you following us on TikTok. Likes za TikTok zimekwama mahali, naomba usikwamue unapotupata tafadhali. Let's like the video, let's share the live, get more people to join and be part of this great conversation. Moja kwa moja nimlete Reverend Lala. Lala, vipi leo?
Mchungaji Bernard, vyema kabisa, habari ya tangu jana?
Salama, tunashukuru. Mungu mwema, karibu.
Salama. Nashukuru Bwana. Na wenzangu ambao wako wanasikilizaji wote, amjambo. Bernard, I think let me speak in English. Yeah. I think I wanted to say this to my fellow Kenyan East Africans, especially those in this channel. First of all, kujeni jamani. I haven't seen a number of you. You are out there, and this is the time that you need it the most. An election is coming. That's when you know some big news comes. Then you come in, which concerns you. I think this is the time for all of us to to raise our voices, because I think we are more threatened, because this is how they practice what they're going to do in the election time. When people are disappearing, when torture is going on, is actually will desensitize us. Next time something happens, we don't have these outcries. Our voices are muzzled. So it is important for us to raise our voices, join, come to these places like this channel. Even if you don't want to come here, go to another one. But I pray and I hope that all of you will come in here. And my point today is this, that Africa was very democratic before what we call civilization itself is so-called the Western type of democracy. What do I mean by that? First of all, when we talk about democracy and human rights, we are talking about the value of a human life, the value of life. Things that Mwafrika alikuwa naogopa sana, to shed blood. You may do different things, but shedding blood was a taboo. In fact, it's a curse. Most of our African tribal traditions, if you kill, a lot of ritual had to be done. Some places you are kicked out of the community. You're not part of it. So what will walikuwa naogopa damu sana sana sana. But what we see now is totally a different thing altogether. The more tunawacha mila zetu, the more undemocratic we become, the more we don't value human life, the more things get harder, and the more we lose a sense of that Ubuntu community idea of us as a people. And the more we go down. So it is important for us to know who we are, because when we know who we are, then there's a big word we can contextualize democracy to our culture, so that all voices are heard within the culture. So first of all, East Africa is the same. The region, we are all brothers and sisters. We have similar cultures. The tribal affiliations are everywhere. This is one community. And so when we see things like this abduction, going on, and what happened to this two brilliant, innocent young people in Tanzania, then all of us must be enraged. In fact, Suluhu and others must and should have come forth to get these criminals, arrest them. The sad thing is that why Mama Suluhu is responsible directly is that from day one, instead of stepping back, weighing, listening, trying to understand, she already made political statements which may have inspired these people by declaring that these people have come to, they have problems out there and we want to protect Tanzania from them. It's already them. When you do that, what you are doing is you are immunizing, your people. You are basically telling Tanzanians those are our enemies. They are not our brothers, they're not our sisters, not our community. They're our enemies. So when they're doing what they're doing, it's almost like they have got an okay from the leader. So Mama Suluhu, even if she didn't know, she played a part, and she must take the full responsibility, apologize, and get these people prosecuted. I think that's the best way for us to build back this trust that has been there for a long time. And secondly, for all of us, sisi kama wa Kenya ambao tuko hapa, I think let's not just throw the baby in the bathwater. Let's not just take things holistic. Let's analyze things. Let's see what is really going on. I believe there are a lot of Tanzanians who feel the way we do. They are trapped in there. And unless we identify with them, then we will be actually losing this war, because all we are saying is Kenya against Tanzania, when actually that's not the issue. The issue is criminality, dictatorship, violence, corruption. Those are the issues that we need to be talking about, not Tanzanians against Kenyans, jamming, the waves and airwave with some of this, cheap stuff that we talk about. Let's be specific, let's be surgical. Let us strike where the enemy is, and that is those what I've shared. That it is bad people, corrupt people, dictators that are creating all this enmity between us. So I would encourage Tanzania wajitokeze ili to demand, what Nyerere, their leader, who was a great man, wanted this nation to follow, because this is actually a shift from what we knew about Tanzania. Okay, so let's all of us put our voices together, come out, see Zote. Let's Bernard should be having 100 people actually trying to get in, not few of us. Okay, so let's all step out. That's the only way to fight this war. It is all our voices being heard. In other words, we don't want crime in our neighborhood, just the same way we don't want it in Tanzania. Any of our people going to Tanzania, any of Tanzanians coming to Kenya, okay? Protect them as our brothers and sisters. Uganda, the same thing. Let us be each other's keeper. That is the only way to even value what we talk about democracy, because we may be talking about democracy, but we don't even know what it is. We are really part of the problem if we are all we're talking about is anger and rage and not tearing people down. We have to see the good, the beautiful, the oneness, undugu. Let the good, let truth be highlighted, and whenever there's light, darkness will begin to disappear. So let us uphold our brothers and sisters in our prayers and stand with them, okay, and denounce the evil that has been done on the life of these people. And we know it's going on in Uganda, we know it's going on in Kenya, we know it's going on in Tanzania. Must point to the problem, or else we are throwing the baby on the bathwater, and that is not the right way to go. So Bernard, mimi naamiza tu watu wetu wajitokeze. Let every voice be heard. Kila mmoja wetu tuzungumze. That's how the world will respect us, even outside world. That's how business will thrive, because people will trust us. That's how we will do well. Or else what we are doing now is we are all divided, small little counties, little states. And so somebody who will benefit is one who is bigger and larger, is always the Western world. They come and take our resources, everything around us. They decide how we sell, what we don't sell. So we are basically slaves unless we work together as a team. So these are calling a time for all of us to really think and really look at where we are as a people. And we're just East Africans. The rest of the world see us as people at the bottom, and they will not lift us up. It is us who's going to do it on our own, okay, by ourselves. And so let us hold each other's hand, stand together, and denounce evil and lift our people up. It can be done if these people know where they belong and know their place. So back to you, Bernard. Just wanted to my opening statement. Asante.
Thank you, Lala. We appreciate that, and that appeal reaches out to you. Come forth if you have anything you want to share with the rest of the world. Please come forth and speak up before time begins to fail us. But it's important that we pull together. I know Kenyans, we are last-minute people. But I think we need to take lessons earlier and be able to address these issues in good time. We have that culture of waiting when it is the last day is when everybody comes out. And so if we don't come out early and be able to begin to demand these realities, we will be caught unawares again. And that's something that I wouldn't want to happen under our watch. We can't be here all this time and then at the 11th hour, we are found unprepared again, and we are forced into an election that we are not ready for, or, put again and wherever government in office that is not a reflection of the Kenyan people or the Kenyan will, as well as people that can cater for the welfare of the rest of Kenyans. And so I would just emphasize that. Let's come forth, let's speak up, let's do anything we can do in whatever space we find ourselves. Let it be positive, let it be healthy, and let it be for a better Kenya. Remember, we're here for Kenya, for all Kenyans. The only Kenya that will work, the only Africa that will work, the only world that will work is where everybody's catered for as an important person, not having a few people to enjoy, the rest to suffer. That has failed. We're celebrating 62 years of independence, and in some places, they have nothing to celebrate. So let's come around, let's be able to speak up and do the necessary. Let me quickly bring in this video first, and then we can begin to see what next. This is Auditor General revelations on the issue of NSSF.
The National Social Security Fund has been on the receiving end over its continued delays in making public its financial report, despite continuously receiving funds from Kenyan workers. A situation that took the intervention of the Commission on Administrative Justice, or the Office of the Ombudsman, for the NSSF to publish their financial performance for the period ending June 30th, 2024. Jimmy Mbogo now takes us through the findings of the Auditor General's reports, which indicate significant financial impropriety at the cost of those who hoped for a secure retirement.
The latest financial report by the National Social Security Fund for the financial year ending June 2024 has exposed significant financial misappropriation at the institution. According to excerpts from the Office of the Auditor General on the NSSF financial health, the institution failed to show progress in the refund of taxes totaling to 904,336,114 shillings, which were inadvertently paid to the Kenya Revenue Authority and were to be refunded after the fund became tax exempt. This costing retirees interest had the funds been invested. Further, the report shows that NSSF acquired a piece of land in Nairobi's Upper Hill area at a cost of 115 million shillings, but the parcel of land title deed was revoked in April 2010 on grounds that the parcel was reserved for public use. In what appeared to be a run of bad investment decision, the Auditor General found that NSSF had invested in two companies between 2023 and 2024. The company's values tanked by 17.64%, costing members a total of 27,218,265 from a valuation of 157,294,756 in 2023 to 127,076,491 shillings by 2024. The Auditor General noting that the value for money from the two companies could not be confirmed. A situation that is also replicated in the NSSF shareholding in the investment in a loss-making bank, where the institution holds shares valued at 38,428,500 shillings and worsened by the investment in government securities, where the fund spent 12 billion shillings to purchase bonds 500,711,695 shillings premium without satisfactory explanation. The audit shows that bonds were bought at a premium cost and sold at a loss, with the years under review booking a capital loss of 272,045,067. The audit report shows that the fund is sitting on 5 idle properties within Nairobi CBD valued at 4.02 billion shillings. But despite the demonstrably questionable investment acumen, outright investment that ought to rake in funds for NSSF also struggled to do so in the period under review. With a report showing that in the period under review, documents provided to the Auditor General shows that 8 tenants owed the fund a total of 13 million shillings, 973,012 shillings in rent arrears and had obtained a court injunction. To further add salt to the wound, the fund went on to spend 317 million shillings, 586,319 on travel, conferences and meetings, out of which 11,312,400 shillings was spent on conferences. Of concern, however, is that the facilities were procured through a request for quotation from non-registered suppliers. The fund went on to spend 51 million shillings, 26,216 on motor vehicle running expenditure, with fuel accounting for 3.2 million shillings. In the same period under review, NSSF spent a total of 410 million shillings, 888,300 on renovation, out of which 14,438,945 was spent on renovation works procured through requests for quotation, and an additional 36,340,392 shillings was spent towards the acquisition of property, plants and equipment. An additional 2 million was spent to acquire a reception desk. In the period under review, NSSF also failed to meet its membership target of 650,000, only registering 556,300 new members, leaving a gap of 93,696, an equivalent of 14% underperformance. The Board of Trustees did not leave empty-handed either, with a report indicating that a whopping 68 million shillings, 782,807 shillings was spent as trustee emolument out of the 6.9 billion shillings administrative cost. Jamie Mbogo, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Okay, welcome back ladies and gentlemen. Hali ndivyo ilivyo katika masuala ya hela za malipo ya uzeeni. Reverend Lala, there you go.
Bernard, you know, when you listen to such statements, you know, such happenings in our system, then you wonder who is there to oversight the spending, who is there to audit, and what consequences are there for doing things like this. And it seems to me that this has been cash cow over the years, and basically some of these so-called audit and presentations means nothing. It is nothing. Nothing will happen. We hear this all the time, and that's the danger. In other words, these people have done a good job to expose the corruption and the looting of public funds, money that should be helping workers, and clearly this is truly sad. The amount of looting, the amount of misappropriation is beyond me. Really beyond me. For somebody to still work there without answering this question is beyond me. I guess that is Kenya. That's Kenya we have. And going back to democracy, is pegged on accountability, on proper use of public resources for the good of all of us. In the traditional African tradition, there were spirits. There were people afraid of what would happen if you steal from Ayatima, those who don't have anything. The curse will be on you. People were afraid, and they did the right thing. The land was a public, land for all the people. There were spirits there, the dead uncles and others who are there who actually watch over you. What has happened? The people don't believe in any of that anymore. It's about money. Get it any way necessary. So they don't care. They are actually, I was talking to one of the deans, and in the school, one of the top people in Kenyan's university system, and he was telling me that most students want to go to the procurement. That's the area where everybody wants to get a degree in the procurement, and you know exactly what we're talking about here. They're a place where they can be able to put their hand into the treasury and eat and vomit on their shoes. And to me, exactly, that report is damaging. That report is sad. But at the end of the day, nothing will be done. And this is why all the voices should be out here. They should be hearing us, just like the GNCs made them listen, able to help them, make them listen to us. It's us who will do it. If you stay out there and watching and listening and telling yourself, nothing's going to happen. But if you come out to a platform like this one and raise your voice, I'm telling you, something can happen. So it's a high time we, do what our forefathers did. They fought for where they are. They had to come and fight for the land, okay? And they protected it. Every home had a shield and a spear, okay, to protect. In other words, defense was on every home, okay? Hose, things like planting and all that was everyone. In other words, no one took any chances. If you didn't do your job, you would not exist. But for some, we don't seem to care much. We don't even think in terms of how to defend ourselves. We don't think in terms of what to do us. We are waiting for somebody to do something for us. And that's not African. So it is important for us to take this report, step out, and raise our voices and demand answers. We must demand the answers, because the justice will not do it, okay? Because they don't. The lawyers are a bunch of hirelings. They do anything, as long as they are paid. The legislative branch, we know exactly where they are. The executive is the chief looters. So it is upon all of us to step out. And so, Bernard, what you are doing is what is saving Kenya. It is channel like this one where we raise our voices. This is what they listen to. So we must do it. So to me, kusikiza these people, what they're doing, and then at the end of the day, nothing is done, is the saddest thing. Because we know children will die, get to the hospital. We know some will not go to school because there is no money. We know jobs will not be there. There's no money. And look at where the money is going. There's some people who should be earning their pension. They never see a dime, a cent or a shilling, okay? And they're waiting, traveling to Nairobi. I don't know if these days are different. Long time ago, they used to go there, and when they get it, it's so much, so little, and they already bribed other people around. So we are waiting for our own funeral if we don't step out. That's exactly what we are doing. If we don't step out, they will not do it. We gotta do it and step out and step forward and let's be counted and let them know that we know what they are doing, so that these thieves can be prosecuted. The same, whatever we are asking to be done to those Tanzanians, who have done this too. Let's ask for the same for our own people that are stealing from us. They're killing our community. They're killing our economies. They're destroying what our forefathers built. Because you, Bernard, you and I, if you went to the village those days, if you live in town, or if you're part of that village, we had granaries. Granaries had millet, had corn, had wimbi, all the things ilikuwa ndani huko. Okay, when other people did not do very well, the crop did not do well, we shared with them. Okay, I remember if food took to Ethiopia. Okay, we had enough. What has happened? People live from, hand to mouth. There is nothing called a granary in most homes. Nothing. They're waiting each day. The one that become beggars during elections. So these are the factors that are there, and it's happening because we let NSSF and others be raided. And that is the saving any nation, whether in the US and others. That is the core of economic, power. It's the saving of workers. The NSF, that's the money that stabilizes the economy. Okay, because that's the investment done well is always a stabilizing factor. Stabilizing factor. And so for it to be rated like this, it shows we are a banana republic. Nothing, we are in a bad shape. So that's my comment on that particular report.
Exactly, Reverend Lala. We appreciate that. And sad indeed that we are playing with everything and anything that we put our sights on. NSSF or NHF, those are services that are supposed to be guarded and protected by the powers that be. If there is anything that must not go wrong, should be in this particular fraternity. And is it now our culture that we appoint and put boards and people presiding over those boards that are incompetent deliberately so that we can end up with this kind of losses? Because what we see here is almost the premeditated crimes that are being deliberately done so that this money gets into wrong hands. You buy land, you claim that land is now public land. You invest in these bonds and the bonds don't make the profit and all that. That doesn't happen with private businesses in this magnitude. And so it appears to me that Kenya needs to walk away from this culture of incompetence and playing around with public assets. Okay, public assets. Kitu ikiandikwa tu GK ama ni cha serikali, watu hawatilii maanani wanapokishughulikia.
Bernard, I'm also very suspicious of these places. They invest this money. Who own those businesses? And that's a way of looting. Primarily, you know where you're investing. You know you are the beneficiary of that. And so when the business do well, you already taken your money. So it is a way of looting, really, when you think about it. You know the thing is going to go down. What do? You go in there and invest, knowing that you are part of the owners of those businesses. You have shares in those businesses. And so I think these are things that need to be investigated, okay? Because this is how most third world countries go down, because the buyer and the seller are the same person, okay? And now when this government money is simply, just like I think there was a time that government was disposing some of the properties, and who are the buyers? The same guys in the government. So they tell you the price is low, and then they, buy them, and then they make a kill out of them. And we know that a lot of houses in Nairobi were acquired, fraudulently with some people that were in the government, to make money. Inside trading, basically, they know exactly what they're going to make out of it, because it does not make any sense to invest people's money in something that will not benefit, the workers themselves. Who is getting the benefit? It's the people investing. They know exactly what they are doing. Yeah. So it's a sad, very, very bad. Back to you.
Exactly. And I think more than ever, we need competent leadership from the head to the last person, because such parastatals and such sectors need not to be joked with. That money can be put to good use. And even this issue of government going to borrow in China to do a road and borrow elsewhere, such money can be used into lending to government and government paying back. Just proper, structured, well-organized kind of operations. But if we all look into this, how much can we steal without being caught? And how much can we loot without this? This is lying money. Hii ni pesa imelala hapa, haina kazi. And in the process, now we are creating a crisis. Wazee sasa hawapati pension. Nini ati hakuna pesa? Na pesa iliwekwa. This is something we must address. Quickly, let me bring in this story of the software developers. We close. In case you are coming, why mapema Masandi, Ohio, Amina Fungasha.
Live from Citizen TV, this is The Explainer with Yvonne Okwara.
Njoki Shege is our sign language interpreter. Tonight we'd like to begin at the courts, where software developer and activist Rose Njeri was released on a 100,000 shillings bond. Njeri, who built a platform for public feedback on the 2025 finance bill, spent 4 days in custody. The court has set June 20th as the date for a ruling that will determine whether she faces cybercrime charges linked to claims that her app disrupted parliamentary email systems. As Ben Kirui reports, her legal team, led by former Chief Justice David Maraga, has dismissed the charges as baseless and unconstitutional.
After hours of anxious waiting in the courtroom, web developer and activist Rose Njeri was finally presented before Magistrate Geoffrey Onsarigo at noon on Tuesday to face cybercrime-related charges, but Njeri did not take a plea. Her legal team objected to the charges, terming them fabricated and not triable under current law.
Your Honor,
the state accuses Njeri of unauthorized interference with computer systems for developing a web-based platform that allegedly sent mass emails to the National Assembly's Finance Committee. The prosecution claims that the influx of emails disrupted normal operations of parliamentary communication systems.
We are taken aback in terms of how do we respond to this charge when the email address was created specifically to be used by members of the public to send their memorandums either in support or in opposition.
Detectives allege that the platform, developed by Njeri, directed the bulk emails to the official systems of the Clerk of the National Assembly. The prosecution argues that this constitutes a violation under the Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Act.
And the information that is given is that the accused person, the suspect before you, knowingly made a program hosted at that website that automatically generated and sent mass emails. Is there sufficient information to understand what we are alleging you to have done? The answer is easily yes.
Njeri's defense team, led by former Chief Justice David Maraga, dismissed the charges as baseless and unconstitutional. They argued that her actions fell squarely within her rights to freedom of expression and public participation. They pointed out that the email address in question had been publicly designated for citizen feedback on the controversial 2025 finance bill.
Instead of being charged, in our view, she should be applauded for having done the work of Parliament, for the Parliamentary Committee, and the institutions which are there to receive views.
Remember, the suspect, Your Honor, is here because she has responded to a public invitation through the parliamentary website that obviously expects reactions from the members of parliament. Public source, Your Honor. That is therefore to ask, can that be perceived to amount to interference when Parliament has invited the members of the public to react to the finance bill?
Njeri was released on a personal bond of 100,000 Kenya shillings. Following her release, Njeri issued a statement of how she was arrested at her home on Friday and detained at Pangani police station over the weekend.
During the illegal arrest and the intimidation by around 15 men,
that's 3 Subarus, versus the lack of crime committed was ridiculous. And I'm happy that you all saw that as the case and reacted as you did.
Earlier in the day, tensions escalated outside the court as security officers clashed with protesters, demanding Njeri's immediate presentation in court. After spending 4 days in police custody, Rose Njeri has been set free, but her legal team has strongly criticized the state for its growing pattern of fabricating charges. The court is set to rule on June 20th on whether Njeri will stand trial on cybercrime allegations. Ben Kiroi, Citizen TV, Milimani Loco.
Okay, ukistaajabu ya Musa utaona ya Firauni. Sasa hii ndio gani tena?
Maajabu, maajabu. Yani, to send 15 policemen to arrest that small girl for doing the right thing. It's, to me, it's like this. These are not governments, these are not institutions worth any credit. There are things that you just don't do. If there's an issue, you can, summon her, in a civilized way, and raise the issue with her, than to send this number of policemen. And psychologically, this is how we beat ourselves as Africans. When we are not respected, it's not that people don't want to respect us. At times, we need to respect ourselves. If we don't respect our people, how do we expect people to respect us? And people, a lot of people would want to, many people would want to respect us, but because we dehumanize our own kind, it looks silly. Now look at the whole government is, prosecuting this young woman as a terrorist or a criminal, because that kind of arrest and detention and then all of a sudden the case is read and the case does not make sense to many of us. We don't even know why she was arrested. I mean, it's bad for the African brand. It's very bad. So I don't know whether this colonial mentality still hold over us. And let me challenge the people, even members, our team here. If we don't come to a place like this and share our views, we are actually playing in their league. That's exactly what we are. We are just the same as them. So I think it is critical for us to denounce, such behavior, which is quite barbaric. Okay, there are all better methods, but it seems as if these people don't use their head. They simply a lot of fear, emotions, and that makes them look very silly. And to me, I think that's very silly what they've done to this young woman. And this all call for all of us to step forward and denounce, such behaviors. It's not the way to go. Yeah.
Exactly. And Parliament is supposed to have capacity to. We cannot be 55 million people, and you're doing public participation. Then you put up an email portal that gets overwhelmed by the response of the people. And then you blame it on somebody who created that.
It's bad. It's bad.
It's like when Kibaki announced free primary education, and everybody went to school. So should we arrest a village because it released a lot of children into the school, and the school did not have capacity to receive the children. I mean, this is primitive, and so our country needs to come out of this madness.
It is, and the saddest thing is that you know, I guess it's supposed to be the prosecutor. You know, the government. What's the title? You know, the chief prosecutor for the government. I'm so used to here. You know, the system here. I think for a long time, I think in Kenya, the prosecutors were policemen. They were not legally trained. And it looked like this, they were doing a better job than these days where they have more lawyer, you know, leading this prosecution for the government. Because you as a lawyer, you know, you as to select, you know, to prosecute such people, it just shows how low we have gone, you know, where the old policemen who didn't go to school, yet they were more humane in the way they handled legal cases. And I remember my own grandfather was a policeman. Okay, he worked with Nyandusi, was Nyachai's father, and he would be so angry the way the police was treats, you know, in our time people. He said, when I was a policeman, si tunakuwa tunashika mtu na sheria, anaenda naambiwa sio kupiga watu. These are olden days. In other words, they respected their own. They knew the injustice that wabeberu walikuwa nawekea watu wao. So they go to arrest their own people, and with a lot of respect, because they identified with them. But then now we have a group that, you know, I don't know. Back to you, Bernard.
Okay, thank you, Lala. We appreciate your input, and every other one of us who have made the show a success. We really salute everyone. Please, let's be active in ensuring that we do the right thing. But such things are embarrassing, to say the least. Embarrassing that you take somebody to court for facilitating Kenyans to respond to a question you put in public. This is not it. And so as Kenyans, let's do the right thing. As we close, I want to remind us the month is over and we need to pay bills. Tafadhali, let's respond to this. The details are on your screen. Support us. Use either the till number 516575, Sound Candy Talk, or you can use my M-Pesa line, +25471845458. Bernard is the name. We really need your support to keep running and keep this conversation going. And then, of course, there are those live shows that we bring during the day. So following Sound Candy Talk, you won't miss anything serious that is taking place within and without the country. And let me also appreciate all that have sent in their support already. We really value and appreciate it. Don't forget, we are also taking care of Frank, and his bills needs to be serviced. So contributions is both for the channel as well as for the support of Frank, who we must take care of until he's able to stand on his own and able to fend for himself. And so I want to encourage us not to forget those responsibilities. Just one person cannot defeat us from taking care of them. So let's work towards that. And then, of course, our bills here are not that much. So tujitahidi kuhakikisha kwamba tunatekeleza wajibu wetu, haswa wale ambao mnaamini katika hii kazi tunayoifanya na mngependa iendelee. Niwashukuru tena na niseme tafadhali tujitahidi, hata kama tumefunga, hakikisha kwamba unaendelea kushare hiyo video na ujumbe ambao tumesema ama masuala ambayo tumeshughulikiwa tumeyazungumzia, ukayafikishe kwa wengi ambao hawakusikiliza. So tukifunga show haimaanishi mambo yameisha, ndio mambo yameanza. So kama tunafunga labda tumekuwa na watu 200, baadaye turudi tupate tumefika 500 kwa sababu umeshare video na umekumbusha ile mtu ambaye angependa kusikia masuala haya na hajajua kule Sound Candy Talk inapatikana, unamsaidia na subscribe, anafuata haya mambo. Tujifunze, tujifahamishe ili tukue na ile hali ya kujua cha kufanya wakati maswali yataanza kutolewa. So please, let's do that. Thank you so much. Let's listen out to this as we call it night a day, wherever you are. God bless you.
Kupata katiba mpya katika mazingira ya amani, mtasubiri sana. Mimi nawaambia na nini kama vijana, nimekuja hapa muongodoke na something hapa. Mtasubiri sana. Naijua dunia, nchi chache sana zimepata katiba bila vita. Hii katiba ya Kenya hii mnayosikia imeandikwa ofisini kwangu Nairobi. Mimi si nilikuwa mkuu wa Umoja wa Mataifa pale wakati inaandikwa. Hila hamlijui. Lakini ni baada ya kule Eldoret watu wanauana haraka kuliko hata Interahamwe Rwanda. Ikaonekana tunafanyaje? Hawa watu wanamalizana. Kwa hiyo tukakaa sasa nyuma ya pazia mambo yanavyokwenda. Lakini amendment hata na hawa opposition parties. Nilikuwa nawaambia kina Heche, nilikuwa nao hawa vijana nimekuwa nao bungeni. Nilikuwa nawaambia have your priorities. Pick the low hanging fruits. Unapofanya kitu usitake kila kitu. Ukitaka kila kitu utapata chochote. Nataka tu kulifafanua hili kwamba sipingi amendments, matatizo yapo. Haya mnayosema yanarekebika by amendment ya katiba. Kwa sababu katiba yetu tulionayo hii, mtu yote na rais anaweza kufukuzwa madarakani. Sasa kama mfanyi, huo ni utamaduni. That is culture, and culture is supreme. Hivi ni yani ninyi wenyewe ndio mnajirudi nyuma kwa sababu ya utamaduni wetu. Nilifafanua hili as students, msije mkatoka na misconception. Unaweza ukashindwa essay ukisema kwamba constitutional change is the panacea for good governance. Inaweza ikawa mdahalo unaokuja. Asante.
Tunazunguka kote kote mchana kutwa kukuletea taarifa na matokeo ya habari kutoka pembe zote za ulimwengu. Jioni tunaweka mduara wa kujadili taarifa zizo hizo kwa mapana na marefu. Ungana nasi kila siku ya wiki kwenye matukio ya siku saa 2 jioni kwenye Sound Candy Talk. Matukio ya siku, makao makuu ya habari kuu ya siku. Sound Candy Talk is timely, accurate, professional, and affordable. You have a complaint or compliment, any question concerning our broadcasting, contact us soundcandytalk@gmail.com. We are on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and X at Sound Candy Talk. Call us on 0718 45 45 85.
You've dreamed about the perfect wedding, the dress, the vows, the happily ever after. But let's ask the most important question. Before you say I do, are you truly ready for the lifelong commitment that comes after the honeymoon period fades? Bernard Ngozzi's groundbreaking ebook, Are You Marriage Ready?, is the ultimate guide to building a successful, lasting marriage. This isn't just another relationship book, it's a heart-to-heart conversation that prepares you for one of life's biggest decisions, getting married. Are you choosing love or just infatuation? Are you building a marriage or just planning a wedding day?
Reading this book was a game changer. I realized I wasn't as ready as I thought, but now I'm on the right path.
Don't wait until it's too late. Invest in your future. Download Are You Marriage Ready today. Link in the description below. Your future spouse deserves the best. Are you ready?